Welcome to Grumpy Wolf Reacts. I am Grumpy Wolf. Today, I'm not reacting to anything. I'm trying to learn guitar. Found a set of videos. Want to learn on guitar in order. The channel is called Kevin Nickens. It's a 16 video set. I'm not 100% on how I'm going to go about this. If I record all the practicing as well as each progression through the videos. But for now, we're going to watch the first couple videos and see what goes from there. A few times in my life I've attempted to learn guitar and quit extremely fast. So, this is technically really my first time picking up the guitar and trying to learn it. I did watch one of the videos already, but I'm going to start with the first one and then go to the one I watched and see what happens from there. Alright. Let's see if I can learn guitar.
Do you ever wake up in the middle of the night drenched in cold sweat, eager to learn more about guitar? So you grab your Mighty Axe, head over to YouTube because we live in the future and you can learn guitar on the internet now, only to find that in a sea of millions of options, it's hard to get any direction. This is the marquee problem of trying.
Very true. Started out, I was going to do this a few weeks ago, maybe even more than a month ago, start this video journey process of me learning. I was going to try and learn on my dad's 12-string that he left me, but apparently it's doable, but a lot more difficult to learn on that. So I had to find my old electric guitar and get a tuner and all that loveliness. So, the videos I was going to learn were 12-string ones, and the way the instructor, nothing negative against them, but for most common practices, if you're learning 12-string, you've already gone through the 6-string learning process. So he was talking in terms and ways that I was not knowledgeable in, so I decided to go back to the basics. And if I couldn't find this, I would have, probably just tried to incorporate the teachings of the 6-string to the 12-string. I don't know. I'm just glad I don't have to try and figure that out. So, with all that said, what he's saying here is very true. Even trying to find the videos that I was just talking about was a process to just see who's actually trying to cover basics and or the basics of the 12-string. Right now, I'm just trying to learn the overall basics. So, this is supposedly from level 0 to level 5. I don't know how long I will take to progress through these levels to where I think I'm actually good enough to move on to the next one. But let's see what he has to say.
To learn how to play guitar online. There's plenty of information, and a lot of it is amazing, but it's hard to put any of it in order into any kind of a curriculum. So in this video, I want to explain the topics that I would learn on guitar in order if I was starting again completely fresh. Now, a quick disclaimer, I'm not actually going to be teaching the concepts that I talk about in this video. That video would be hours long, and I don't actually think it would benefit anybody. If I had to write an outline about how to play guitar, This is that outline. In order to make this list really comprehensive, I've broken it down into several levels, level 0 through level 6. And so with that, let's begin.
Level 6, not 5. My bad. Like I said before, I have done this a couple of times in my younger years. Didn't have the dedication or the drive. I had the passion for music that I have now, maybe not as high as it is now, or at least understanding why I like music so much. I'm 41, learning guitar. So, let's do this. Let's see if you can teach an old dog new tricks, or old wolf new tricks. Ha 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 ha.
Alright, welcome to level 0. It said that you have to learn to walk before you can run, but to be honest, this level is kind of like learning to breathe. To be 100% transparent, a lot of the stuff in this level is going to seem elementary, even to beginners, but this stuff is necessary to be able to move on at all. In this level, you're going to learn really basic stuff, like how to hold the guitar, how to hold the pick, what are the parts of the guitar. You're going to learn basic strumming like up strums and down strums. You're also going to learn the flip side of strumming, which is how to pick a single note. You're going to learn how to fret a single note. The most important thing you're going to learn in this stage is the names of all 6 guitar strings. You have to master that before you move on. Starting with really basic guitar maintenance, you're going to learn how to tune your guitar in this stage. Now, starting with the beginning of what's going to be some pretty unfun stuff is music theory. In this stage, you're going to learn what is a note, how many notes are there, what is a chord, what is a key, and you're going to learn the basics of intervals. Basically, what is a half step versus a whole step. If you master all that stuff, you'll have mastered level 0. Welcome to level 1. You're on your way to becoming a real rock star. You're going to want to start simple by buying.
I think he's just going through each of the levels in this video, and then the next stuff is like the basics, because a lot of what he mentioned he covered in the first video I watched. So when I got this, it came with a tuner. I don't know if I've done it right. Put it here and got everything in the green. So when he gets to that part, we'll see how well I guessed at doing that right.
Angle leather jacket, and maybe you're going to let your schoolwork or your job slip a little bit. In this level, you're going to learn how to play basic open chords. I think you should learn E, E minor, A minor, G, C, and D. That's 7 open chords to master here. You should learn how to strum in time. You should learn how to count music and play different note values. In this level, you're going to want to learn how to do some very basic guitar maintenance, namely how to change your strings. I'm going to try to recommend some songs from across different genres that all work pretty well for guitar players in this stage. In this level, the songs I recommend learning are either really basic, fun strumming songs, or songs that you can play just on one string. I recommend For What It's Worth by Buffalo Springfield, Wagon Wheel by Darius Rucker, Smoke on the Water by Deep Purple is a good one. That's kind of the beginner guitar song. Seven Nation Army by the White Stripes is a really popular one, and Iron Man by Black Sabbath is really good. Okay, on to level 2. In this stage, you've got to focus on getting cooler. I suggest wearing sunglasses indoors, especially at night. In this stage, you should learn the right hand technique of alt.
He is being very entertaining in the process. Again, the first video I watched, I wanted to see if his style is a style I was able to comprehend, and if it would be entertaining or not to do in the fashion that I wanted to do this, where I'm recording the journey and putting it on the internet. In every video, I will have a link in the description for the videos I watched at that time. I will also probably, or I could just link the whole playlist in every video, if that's an option, actually. But so far, I like the style and way he's going about his teaching process. Should probably plug the laptop in before the battery gets too low. This one may be a little longer, but once I get into the playing and practicing stages of the guitar learning, uh, from a less probably don't need the amp on, but I'm thinking, unless they recommend something different in the video, hour or 2 hours per video of practice, and then that's just what I'd be doing through the week or until I feel I'm ready to move on to the next one. If y'all want me to do every practice session, let me know, or every so often. Um, but I am finally ready to take this seriously, whether or not it's more just for fun or I try and do something with it is not even thought of right now. I just want to learn, have some fun with it, um, get a little more respect for the artists who have taken the time to learn this and master it, like Ren and so many of the artists I have reacted to have done. I think he's going to be fun with this, so let's see where he goes. And it does look like he's just going over the six levels. So I'll probably only cover this video once. Other ones I may watch multiple times.
alternate picking. You should learn the first position pentatonic scale, which I actually have a video on. It's called the minor pentatonic scale. You should learn all the notes on the fretboard up until the 5th fret. As far as music theory goes, this level is pretty basic. You're going to want to learn what is syncopation and how to count different beat subdivisions. The songs I recommend here are Sweet Home Alabama by Leonard Skinner, Running Down a Dream by Tom Petty, House of the Rising Sun by The Animals, Highway to Hell by AC/DC, and Hurt, the Johnny Cash version, is really good. Now, if you make it to level 3, then rock stardom is basically guaranteed. It's important to pick out a rehab center now, so when you burn out on drugs later, you're already good to go. In this level, you're going to want to learn the second position pentatonic scale. This is the major pentatonic scale. You're also going to want to learn bar chords at this level. Start with F major and B minor, but you eventually want to work your way up to where you can play bar chords with 5th and 6th string roots, and you can play the minor and the major versions of those bar chords. I think this is the point when most guitar players should learn all the notes on the fretboard. That's a skill that's really going to pay off as you progress. You should also start trying to solo over backing tracks. There's actually some really good YouTube channels for this. Specifically, I like Now You Shred. They have really good backing tracks. Don't try to do anything overly profound. Just start messing around with this. The songs that I recommend for this level are really good to learn, and they're also really good to practice soloing over.
Hold on. What was the name of that channel?
Shred. They have really good backing tracks. Don't try to do for this specifically, I like Now You Shred. They
Now You Shred. Let's add them to the subscription list. Do, do, do. Do, do, do. Now You Shred. Subscribe. So when I get more comfortable and at the level he mentioned, I think we're on what? But yeah, when we get to these points, that will be something I could switch to and maybe be a little more fun to watch once I get more comfortable there. Let's continue.
Have really good backing tracks. Don't try to do anything overly profound, just start messing around with this. The songs that I recommend for this level are really good to learn, and they're also really good to practice soloing over. They are Sultans of Swing by Dire Straits, Layla by Derek and the Dominoes, Wish You Were Here by Pink Floyd, and Whole Lotta Love by Led Zeppelin. Alright, level 4. To be honest, if you haven't thought about a stage name at this point, then you might need to reassess why you're trying to be a rock star in the first place. If you're interested in playing rock, keep it simple and violent. Try names like Slash or Switchblade. One of those might be taken. And for other genres like country, keep it simple and rural. Names like Rebecca Farmwind or Lucas Tractor Fuel work well. In this stage, you should learn all 5 positions of the pentatonic scale. Now, you already know 2 of those positions, so you just have to add the other 3. You should also learn the major and minor diatonic scales. You should learn how to play 7th chords. That means major 7th chords, minor 7th chords, dominant 7th chords, and half diminished chords. And you should be able to play those with roots on the 5th and 6th strings. You should also shore up your stylistic techniques here. That includes bends, vibrato, hammer-ons, and pull-offs, as well as natural harmonics and pinch harmonics. As for music theory in this point, you should learn how to build a scale, how to build a triad, and you should also learn how sevenths apply to triads, because you did learn to play 7th chords in this level. Alright, and this is actually the level where I no longer have song recommendations. For the previous levels, there are song recommendations that I feel like kind of correlate to the levels and can help a lot of people, but at this level, that kind of doesn't apply anymore. If you want to learn to play a song, you should just learn to play it. And your skill level shouldn't limit you. If your skill level isn't high enough to play the song that you want to play yet, as a part of learning the song, you should up your skill level. Another important note on this level, if you watched my previous video about getting a guitar instructor versus teaching yourself, this is the level where I recommend most people get an instructor. I think before this, you might be kind of wasting a little bit of your time with an instructor because the concepts are all so basic and pretty much every instructor is going to teach the same thing. This is the level where I think an instructor can bring a unique teaching perspective to students and actually help them. Now,
I don't know if I'll ever go the instructor route. Like, right now he's my instructor. I may move on to other videos and whatnot, but where I'm face to face with someone, I don't know if I'll get to that point. We'll see. If I do, those would not be recorded. I would come back and like show what I learned or something. But I don't think that's going to be a part of the process.
level 4.5. The reason this is a half level is because it's pretty much just an extension of everything you learned in 4. There's only one concept here, and the bullet points all relate to that one concept, and that is how to harmonize the major scale. Some people call this learning the chord scale or the order of triads, but I would say most people refer to this as knowing how to harmonize the major scale. This is also a perfect time to learn the Nashville number system, which is the most useful thing in all of music, and the theory you should learn here should just apply to how to harmonize the major scale. You should familiarize yourself with really common chord progressions and the functions of different chords. Okay, welcome to level 5. At this point, you're probably going to want to get a lawyer. Statistically speaking, you're going to need to sue your record label at some point. Familiarize yourself with phrases like, "It used to be about the music." In this level, you're going to learn the modes, which is a big
Should always be about the music. Don't let record labels ruin it. Sorry, my opinion's leaking in.
Statistically speaking, you're going to need to sue your record label at some point. Familiarize yourself with phrases like, "It used to be about the music." In this level, you're going to learn the modes, which is a big concept. Focus hard on this. You should also learn all the intervals in this level. You should learn the caged system, and then you should learn the arpeggios within the caged shapes. You should also learn to identify triads within the caged arpeggios. You should learn how to play major 7th, minor 7th, dominant 7th, and half diminished arpeggios with 5th and 6th string roots. You should be able to add the 7th to your caged arpeggios. As far as theory goes, you should learn the theory behind the modes because you learned how to play the modes in this level. You should learn how chord tones can be used in a melody or solo to accentuate chords that are already in the song. And this is also a good spot to learn about compound time signatures. Now, a fair warning, level 5 can take a while to learn. This is a level that really
Nothing on what he's talking about at the moment, just something that just crossed my mind when I was thinking about what he was saying about learning up to a certain point level that he's talked about so far before needing an instructor. The first time I got the guitar, the gentleman in the store was kind enough and customer friendly enough to make the same type of recommendation where he's like, I'd recommend you a few books. You go home and learn what you can from those. And then when you feel like you can't get yourself any further, then that would be the time. Just basically what he was saying, that would be the time to look for an instructor, is when you feel like you hit your limit and you can't break through to these next levels. So, um, it's really nice that there are people out there who would do that. Some would just say you need an instructor from the get-go and do it just to take the money. But yeah, really enjoying his inputs, and I don't know how long it will take me to progress through each level. I tend to be a more slow learner, so let's see.
Realistically, you might spend years on. Some people might find themselves happy with their guitar playing at level 5. You might not need to go on, but if you do want to go on, there's level 6. Now we're getting into level 6, and if you reach level 6, you're either a college professor or a musical alien or both. Now a serious disclaimer here is that this level definitely skews towards jazz. If you're interested in like fusion or jazz or progressive rock or something, or any other genre that gets really heavy into music theory, then these concepts will be useful to you. The truth is, you might not need this stage, but I'm including it because I feel like most advanced guitar players would agree that these concepts are the natural evolution of the concepts that you should have learned previously. I apologize if you're a beginner watching this video and this next section just sounds like a foreign language. The first concept in this level is to understand chord extension.
A lot of what he said in the last level also kind of just made me, you probably saw me raise my eyebrow to it. But again, I have no clue what he's talking about at this time. By the time I get to these levels, I should understand more of what he's talking about, not just hearing the words, actually putting lessons to them.
Beyond the 7th and learn what is appropriate for your style. Focus on learning 9ths, 11ths, and 13ths and how to add those to your chords. This is a really jazz heavy concept. You should learn the melodic minor scale as well as its modes and arpeggios. And you should also learn the harmonic minor scale as well as its modes and arpeggios. There is a mode of the harmonic minor scale called the diminished scale that is really important to learn as well. From here, you can either continue down the jazz path, especially if those skills will be useful to a style that you're interested in, including jazz. But my main recommendation here is to go your own way. Learn something unique. Specialize. Maybe you should learn slide guitar. Maybe you should get into bluegrass. Maybe you should focus on speed metal. I don't know. Do what you're interested in here. This stage is where most people who have instructors generally stop taking regular lessons at least, and maybe they do lessons very rarely or they stop them altogether. Like I said before, this is the point where you really just go your own way. At this point, there's really not a lot of advice that I can give that'd be relevant to everybody or even a large group of people like there is for level 0 through level 6. And that's it. Welcome to the top of the mountain. But not really, of course, because guitar playing is a journey that never actually ends. Thank you for watching, and I hope this video helps out. I made this video because I've always wanted somebody else to make a video like this. A lot of people are reluctant to give up this kind of information in a concise, clear format. Sometimes this information is really only available via an instructor or in a book or something. Sometimes it's behind a paywall, and I wish it wasn't like that. I wish this information was out there for free and easily accessible. So this is the part in the video where all the YouTube gurus tell me that I should give the audience a call to action. I would hope that you would like this video. That way it gets saved to your liked videos playlist and you can refer back to it in the future when you're looking for something to practice. Now again, thank you for watching, and I really hope this video helps.
I will be liking the videos as I go through them. I also took the whole playlist and saved that so I won't lose it. He had, I believe, again, I was going through a lot of the people's videos trying to figure out which one would be best for me. But I feel this gentleman had a lot on his channel. If not, it was the 12-string one I found. But yeah, really enjoying his style. Let's get into the next one.
helps out. If you're interested in my style of information delivery, I release videos regularly on this channel, including a series explaining the concepts in this video. So if you're ready to start at level 0, go ahead and click here. Thank you. Playing guitar is really simple. All you do is put this finger here and this finger here, and that's it. Okay, there's a little more to it than that. In this video, I'm going to start at the beginning and show you the basics of how to play guitar. I'm going to assume that you were born yesterday and your squishy little baby hands have just touched a guitar for the first time. We're going to cover the parts of the guitar.
Basically right. I've never done anything that sounded close to what it should have.
Basics of technique. I'm going to trick you into learning some music theory, and then we're going to play your first chord with absolutely impeccable technique. This video is for the absolute beginner or the returning beginner who wants to slow down and do this right. This video is going to cover the basics of contemporary guitar. So if you want to learn classical, this might not be of much help. But if you want to learn rock, blues, jazz, metal, or any contemporary kind of music, this is going to cover the essentials.
So I may need to find something for classical as well. I just trying to learn in general right now, and I could branch out later if and when the skill progresses and the need and want to expand is there. But for now, this is where I'm starting.
And cut out the fluff. Thank you for watching, and let's get started. First up are the parts of the guitar. Now, as you might have guessed, these are called the strings. The most important thing you're going to learn in this whole video are the names of the strings. They are E, A, D, G, B, E. The phrase that everybody uses to remember the names of the strings is Eddie ate dynamite, goodbye Eddie. This horrific acronym tells the tale of a deranged guy named Eddie who paid the ultimate price so we can remember the names of the guitar strings. Don't let Eddie's sacrifice be in vain. Remember the names of the guitar strings. E, A, D, G, B, E. The strings are connected to the guitar with these, which are called tuners. The way that tuners work are they wrap the strings around a post to tighten it, and they let a little string out to loosen it. If you think about a rubber band, the tighter you pull it, the higher the pitch gets. And the looser it gets, the lower the pitch gets. It's the same principle for guitar strings. The strings run over the nut and along the fretboard, which is sometimes called the fingerboard, which is a slab of wood attached to the neck that you press down on with your left hand while you're playing. The fretboard houses these strips of wire, which are called frets. And these things are called inlays, and they can look pretty different on different guitars. Inlays just serve as visual markers so you can quickly tell where you are on the guitar neck when you're playing. Inlays always occur at the 3rd fret, the 5th fret, the 7th fret, the 9th fret, and the 12th fret, and then they repeat, but we'll get to that later. There are also usually fret markers that are on the side of the neck that face you while you're playing. These visual markers are just easier to see when you're looking down at the guitar. Which reminds me, this whole thing is called the neck. The other major part of the guitar is called the body. The body houses the bridge, which ends the resonant length of the strings, which was started at the nut, if you remember, and it couples the strings to the body. This part is creatively named the sound hole because it's where the sound comes out and it is a hole. This is called a cutaway or a cutout, and the purpose of the cutaway is so you can play higher up on the guitar neck without the body of the guitar getting in the way too much. Some guitars, like this one, don't have a cutaway. This thing is called a pick guard, and it's usually a thin piece of plastic that protects the body of the guitar from getting scratched up and nicked by the pick. An interesting fact is that in 2004, the sound hole and the pick guard were both named by Dr. Pickgardathy Soundool, who was well known for his achievements naming things like the pick guard, sound hole, fireplace, orange, car seat, and many more. Okay, so real quick, to explain some of the differences between an electric guitar and an acoustic guitar, I want to talk about the differences in how they work, which is honestly pretty cool. So with an acoustic guitar, when the string is picked, it vibrates, right? And that vibration gets sent through the bridge into the top of the guitar. Think of the top of the acoustic guitar kind of like a drum head or maybe a speaker cone. It vibrates and moves the air inside of the guitar, inside the sound cavity. All sound is just moving air. It's just air vibrating at a certain frequency. So the top of the guitar vibrates the air at a certain frequency, and that sound gets amplified basically by bouncing around inside the guitar. And then that sound comes out the sound hole towards the audience. So if you think about it, for this to work really well, the top of the guitar has to be really rigid so that it vibrates. And this is actually the reason why on really high-end acoustic guitars, you'll see that the tops are made of solid wood, usually Sitka spruce. Because the wood is really solid and really rigid, the top of the guitar can vibrate more freely. Think of this as opposed to a softer, more inert material, like maybe on lower-end guitars you might find laminate, for example. This is also the reason that different woods make guitars sound different. They have different densities and levels of rigidity, which affects how much the guitar vibrates and what it sounds like. Now, on an electric guitar, it's completely different. Instead of having an acoustic cavity and a sound hole, they have these, which are called pickups. Pickups are basically electromagnets. They're pieces of metal that have wire, usually copper wire, wrapped around them. The pickups generate a magnetic field, and when a metal string vibrates and disturbs that magnetic field, that gets sent as an electrical signal from the guitar to an amplifier, and the amplifier turns that into audible sound. This is done either with a computer or glass radio tubes from the 1940s and 50s, and surprisingly, the tubes generally sound better. Now, while we're talking about the differences between
Not really surprisingly, in my
an acoustic guitar,
in the beginning of things, we cared more about making the best. Nowadays, we care about making what's gonna make the most money. There was a shift where we went from quality to profit. And when that shift was made, everyone in control in these major companies cared more about money than they did about making something that lasted long. Like, little rant, kind of off subject. If you watch my videos, you know what happens. I was pushing my laundry schedule to the max, and I was running out of work shirts, so I wore a shirt that I had from, like, high school, and I graduated in 03, so it's been 20-something, 22 years, almost 23 years since I graduated, and, shirt quality, I mean, the color's faded, obviously, but there's almost no holes in it. I haven't worn it in a while, but still, there are shirts that I've gotten in the last couple of years where holes get worn in them very easily. The color fades a lot faster, and yet they're charging us more for these products when they're making them the cheapest way possible.
an electric guitar sound better. Now, while we're talking about the differences between acoustic guitars and electric guitars, I want to talk about something that gets asked all the time. That is, are acoustic and electric guitar the same? And the answer is yes. For the purposes of playing, they're exactly the same. If you can play one, you can play the other. It's the same skill. To practice one is basically to practice the other. So if you only have an acoustic and you want to play electric at some point, you'll be fine, and vice versa. Okay, now let's cover how to actually play. The goal here is to learn how to play an E minor chord with absolutely perfect technique. We're not going to rush through this so you can bang out that first chord. We're going to start at the beginning and do this the right way. First of all, sit up straight and rest the guitar on your leg. To hold the pick, make a hook with your right index finger and rest the pick on your knuckle. Then just clamp down with your thumb. As you progress, you might want to angle the pick back a little bit more and choke up on it so there isn't as much pick showing. But don't worry about that for now. Okay, starting with the right hand, when you strum, you want to think about painting the strings. Notice how I'm angling the pick down here so that it slides really cleanly across the strings. And when I go up, I angle the pick back so that again, it slides really cleanly across the strings. What you don't want to do is angle the pick downward and have it get stuck and hung up in the strings. Imagine you have a paintbrush and you're just gliding across the strings. It's important to remember that when you're first...
This is the video I've watched. These are things I've been doing. Don't remember if I got my hand placement right on the chords, but I remember vaguely where he had me put them. So let's see.
First beginning, you want to practice doing down strums and up strums. The tendency for a lot of beginners is to only do down strums, but that's a pretty bad habit to get into. When you first start strumming, just use open strings. Don't focus on making anything sound overly pleasant. Right now, you're just trying to get the feel for strumming. Okay, so the flip side of strumming is picking a single note. To pick a single note, don't overcomplicate it. Just hold the pick like you did before, approach a string, I'm on the low E string here, and just press cleanly through the string. Same thing for an upstroke. That's it. Keep picking simple for now. Picking should be easy and without a lot of tension. What picking shouldn't be is a really tiny strum. Picking and strumming are really two different movements. With picking, the movement is all in the wrist. Whereas with strumming, it is true that the wrist remains loose, but the primary movement comes from the elbow. No picking or strumming should involve your fingers manipulating the pick to any huge degree. It should be from your wrist. The Jedi teach us that talent without training is nothing, but what those posers should teach us is that right hand technique without left hand technique is even less than nothing. Let's talk about how to fret. Okay, so first of all, let's cover a couple of reference things. When we're referring to frets, we count them sequentially, starting at the headstock, going towards the body. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. Another thing that's just useful to know that doesn't really fit anywhere else in this video is that generally when people talk about going higher, it's a little unintuitive at first. To go higher on the guitar is to go that way, towards the floor. So here, up on the low E string here, this is lower, and this high E string is higher. When people talk about low and high on the guitar, they don't literally mean altitude, they're talking about pitch. So down here, again on the low E string, is lower in pitch, and up here on the high E string is higher in pitch. In that same vein of thinking, lower on the neck is more towards the headstock, and higher is more towards the body. Anyway, back to how to fret. So let's say you're trying to fret the 5th fret of the low E string. This note's called A. What you don't want to do is take your first finger and press down directly on the 5th fret. It'll end up sounding something like this. Sort of dead and dull. So if the 5th fret is right here, I want to push down a little bit behind it. Now, this isn't such a big deal, but you don't want to be so close to the 4th fret either. You can get some of that buzzing going on. The general rule is that you want to be as close as you can be behind the 5th fret without actually being on the fret. that gets the cleanest result. Now, as you go higher on the fretboard, the frets aren't wide enough apart for this to make a difference, but down here in the low part of the fretboard, it does make a difference. Another tip is to make sure that when you're fretting, your thumb is directly behind your fingers. The tendency for a lot of beginners is to flare the thumb out towards the back, kind of towards the headstock. Try to avoid this. Try to keep your thumb exactly right across the neck from the fingers. All right, we're almost to the point where we can play our first chord. But what is a chord? A chord is a collection of notes that sound good together. A note is just a single sound frequency. But if there are an infinite number of frequencies, does that mean there are an infinite number of notes? No, there are only 12. Here they are, but it's not important to learn them right now. What is important right now is the fact that notes hang out together in groups called scales. Scales and chords come together to form keys. Generally, songs are in a certain key, and so all the notes and chords playing in that song are a part of a certain key. When this works, you don't notice it. You're just enjoying the song. But when a note is out of key, you really notice it. So it's important to play in key. Anyway, those were the basics of music theory, which most guitarists avoid like the plague, so you're already ahead. Oh, and the way to play E minor is like this. You're going to take your second finger, which is your middle finger on your left hand, and you're going to fret the second fret of the A string. Then you're going to take your third finger, which is your ring finger, and put it on the second fret of the D string. And then you're just going to strum all 6 strings. Very cool sounding chord. It's important to have a cool sounding chord. Finger, which is your ring finger, and put it on the second fret of the D string. And then you're just going to strum all 6 and you're going to fret the second fret of the A string. Then you're going to take your third finger, which is your ring finger, and put it on the second fret of the D string. And then you're just going to strum all 6 strings. Very cool sounding chord. It's important to remember to not compromise technique here. Think about fretting properly, think about strumming properly, think about the proper way to hold the guitar and the pick. Don't sacrifice technique here. It'll only hurt you in the long run. Okay, so now you've played your first chord with impeccable technique. Try strumming that, just play around with it. Try to get comfortable with a guitar in your hands. So what's next? So if I were trying to learn guitar from zero and I was trying to progress as quickly as possible, I would do 3 things. The first thing would be to find a program and stick with it. Now, to be honest, I would hope that you keep watching my videos and stick with my program because I'm pretty. But seriously, it is way more important to just pick a decent program, start and stick with it, than it is to scroll endlessly trying to find the perfect program that contains some untold secret of ancient guitar wizards that'll instantly transform you into a master. It doesn't exist, and neither does the perfect program or the perfect guitar lesson video. Except for mine, of course. There are no secrets about how to play guitar. I dare you to find one. Look up any guitar topic at all, and I bet you there's going to be something there to point you in the right direction. There's only one thing that will actually make you a better guitar player, and that's practice. Speaking of practice, the second thing I would try to do to progress quickly is practice daily. My own personal experience, as well as a ton of research, shows us that the fastest way to learn something is to practice it daily, because so much of the effective learning process actually comes from frequently revisiting whatever it is we're trying to learn. This is even more important than overall practice volume. Instead of practicing 7 hours, 1 day a week, you would get more benefit out of practicing 1 hour, 7 days a week. But with guitar, it doesn't even take an hour a day. I seriously believe that you could make noticeable progress with as little as 5 minutes a day. But if it were me, I would probably try to practice about 20 minutes a day. If you practice 20 minutes a day, I would expect to progress pretty quickly, and I wouldn't expect the stuff in this video to take any more than a couple of days to learn. Finally, if you do choose to stick with my program, master all the stuff in this video before you move on to the next level. Do not worry about the next level until you know everything in this video in your sleep. But when you are ready to move on, the next video will be here, and in the meantime, you might need to tune your guitar. Thank you for watching.
Alright, so I think at first I was thinking it would be a weekly video journey. Maybe I will update weekly still, but I think let me know in the comments how you would like this to go. But for me, I'm thinking I make a new video every time I feel I'm ready to move on skill-wise to get more knowledge and progress said skill. So I'd sit and play around with this for however long I feel it would take me, and try and practice 20 minutes a day. Does not seem that difficult. So yeah, how do you want it? Do you want videos every time, like a new recording every time I progress? Do you want me to do, or would you rather have one every week? But for now, I'll probably watch this a couple more times and just get that finger placement and stuff down. Excuse me. I had the fingers backwards at first, so obviously I wasn't paying complete attention. But yeah, I really enjoy his teaching style. It's funny and informative, and it helps me pay attention more. So I will continue with his videos. But yeah, in the comments down below, let me know what you think. I will have a link to this playlist in the description of every video I make. With all of that being said, until next time, share the love, and everybody wins.